Picture yourself standing alone at a crossroads on the darkest night of the month. No moon illuminates your path. The stars themselves seem to withdraw their light. 3 roads stretch before you into impenetrable shadow, each promising a different fate, each concealing unknown dangers. The air grows cold despite the summer warmth. Dogs begin to howl in the distance, their voices rising in an ancient chorus that speaks to something primal within your soul. Then, from the depths of that absolute darkness, you see them. Twin flames blazing in the void. Twin torches held by hands you cannot quite perceive, illuminating a figure that exists between worlds, between life and death, between what is known and what mortals fear to discover. This is the realm of Hecate, and her presence has arrived. Of all the deities that populated the ancient Greek imagination, few possess the haunting complexity of Hecate. She was never a goddess who demanded grand temples on sunny hilltops or received worship in the brilliant light of day. Her domain was the threshold, the boundary, the space between. She ruled over the moments when day surrendered to night, when the living world pressed against the realm of the dead, when travelers paused at crossroads to choose their destiny. Ancient Greeks whispered her name with a mixture of reverence and dread, leaving offerings at their doorsteps to secure her protection or avert her wrath. She was the keeper of keys to mysteries both sacred and terrifying, the torchbearer who could illuminate hidden paths or lead the unwary into eternal darkness. To understand Hecate is to understand the ancient Greek relationship with the unknown, with magic, with death itself. The origins of this enigmatic goddess remain shrouded in the very mystery she embodied. Most scholars believe Hecate did not originate in the Greek heartland, but rather emerged from the ancient peoples of Anatolia, the region we now call Turkey. The Carians of Southwest Asia Minor appear to have been among her earliest devotees, and theophoric names containing variations of her name are most commonly found in that region. The town of Lagina in Caria housed her most celebrated sanctuary, where she remained a great goddess long into the historical period, her worship continuing with fervor even as other ancient cults faded into memory. Some evidence suggests she may have evolved from local sun goddesses of the region, her attributes transforming over time as her cult spread across the Mediterranean world. When Hecate arrived in Greece, she entered a pantheon already crowded with powerful deities, each with established domains and devoted followers. Yet rather than being absorbed or diminished, Hecate carved out a unique position that would ensure her survival and prominence for centuries. The poet Hesiod, writing in the 8th century before the Common Era, provides our earliest literary description of the goddess in his Theogony. In this foundational text of Greek mythology, Hesiod portrays Hecate as a Titan goddess of extraordinary honor and power, the daughter of Perses and Asteria, which made her the granddaughter of the Titans Phoebe and Coeus. But what truly distinguished Hecate in Hesiod's account was the remarkable scope of her authority. She possessed power over heaven, earth, and sea. She could bestow wealth, victory, and wisdom upon mortals. She granted favorable conditions to sailors and hunters. She ensured prosperity in flocks and fields. Most remarkably, when Zeus overthrew the Titans and established the rule of the Olympian gods, he allowed Hecate alone among the Titan generation to retain her ancient privileges and powers. This singular honor speaks to the goddess's importance and perhaps to the impossibility of containing or controlling the forces she represented. Zeus, king of the gods, recognized that Hecate's domains were fundamental and necessary. The boundaries she guarded, the transitions she governed, the mysteries she protected were not optional aspects of existence, but essential structures of reality itself. By honoring Hecate, Zeus acknowledged that even supreme divine authority must recognize limits, thresholds, and boundaries. The goddess existed at the margins, in the spaces between defined categories. She was, in the truest sense, a liminal deity. The word liminal comes from the Latin word for threshold, and it describes states of transition, of being neither here nor there, of existing in the space between what was and what will be. Hecate embodied liminality in every aspect of her nature and worship. She ruled over crossroads, those places where multiple paths converge and travelers must pause to make decisions that will determine their fate. Ancient Greeks placed statues of Hecate at these junctions, her triple form facing in 3 directions simultaneously, watching over each possible road. These weren't merely navigational aids, but recognition that choosing a path represents a moment of profound transformation, a crossing from one state of being into another. Doorways and gateways fell under her dominion. The threshold of a home marked the boundary between the private domestic sphere and the public world beyond, between safety and danger, between the known and unknown. Small shrines to Hecate, called Hecatea, stood beside doorways throughout the Greek world. Homeowners believed these shrines would protect their households from malevolent spirits and bring the goddess's favor upon all who crossed that threshold with good intentions. The keys that locked and unlocked these doorways became one of Hecate's primary symbols. She was the key bearer, the one who controlled access, who could open pathways to hidden knowledge or seal shut doors that mortals should never pass through. In her hands, a key represented far more than a simple tool. It embodied the goddess's power to grant or deny passage between realms, to reveal or conceal mysteries, to liberate or imprison. Night itself was Hecate's domain, that daily threshold when the sun's light surrenders to darkness and the world transforms. The Greeks understood night as a time when the normal rules and protections that governed daylight hours lost their force. Restless spirits wandered. Dangerous forces roamed freely. The barriers between the world of the living and the realm of the dead grew thin and permeable. Hecate moved through this darkness with confidence and authority, her twin torches blazing like earthbound stars. Those torches became her most recognizable attribute. In countless ancient depictions, Hecate appears bearing a torch in each hand, their flames piercing the shadows. These torches represented her ability to bring light into darkness, to illuminate hidden truths, to guide lost souls through the shadowed realm between life and death. A light they cast was not the warm, cheerful glow of a hearth fire, but something more austere and revealing. A flame that showed things as they truly were, rather than as comforting illusion might prefer. The moon, that celestial body which waxes and wanes in endless cycles of death and rebirth, became associated with Hecate's nocturnal power, particularly during the dark phase of the moon, when no silver light illuminates the night sky. The goddess's presence felt most potent. These moonless nights belonged especially to her, times when her worship was most fervently conducted and her power most readily invoked. The dark moon represented a liminal moment in the lunar cycle, the transition point between the old moon's ending and the new moon's beginning. In that darkness, in that moment of transformation, Hecate reigned supreme. Her role as guardian of boundaries extended to the ultimate threshold, the border between life and death. Hecate was a chthonic deity, meaning she had connections to the underworld and the realm of the dead. She could move between the sunlit world of the living and the shadowed kingdom of the deceased with an ease that other gods did not possess. This made her a psychopomp, a guide of souls, one who could lead the dead to their final destination, or escort the living through the perilous landscape of death and back again. Dogs, those animals who were believed to perceive spirits invisible to human eyes, became sacred to Hecate. Ancient sources describe her accompanied by packs of hounds, their howling announcing her presence as she walked the earth on moonless nights. The barking of dogs in darkness was interpreted as a sign that Hecate passed nearby, her ghostly retinue following in her wake. The imagery associated with Hecate evolved over the centuries, becoming increasingly elaborate and symbolic. Early depictions show her as a single female figure, young and beautiful, dressed in a long robe and holding her characteristic torches. But by the 5th century before the Common Era, a remarkable transformation occurred in how artists represented the goddess. She began to appear in triple form, with 3 bodies standing back to back, each facing a different direction. The sculptor Alcamenes is credited with creating the first such representation for use in Hecate's temple in Athens. These triple-form statues, erected on pillars or columns at crossroads and gateways, allowed the goddess to simultaneously watch over all the paths that converged at that spot. No approaching traveler, no wandering spirit, no hidden danger could escape her all-seeing gaze. This triple form carried deep symbolic meaning beyond its practical function at Crossroads. It represented Hecate's sovereignty over the 3 realms of sky, earth, and sea that Hesiod had attributed to her. It embodied her presence in past, present, and future simultaneously. It reflected her power over birth, life, and death. Later traditions would sometimes depict Hecate with 3 heads rather than 3 bodies, and in certain mystical texts from late antiquity, these heads took the form of different animals: a dog, a snake, and a horse. Each animal carried its own symbolic weight. The dog represented her role as guardian and her connection to the spirit world. The serpent embodied wisdom, transformation, and the powers of the earth. The horse symbolized her chthonic nature, and possibly her association with the swift passage between worlds. Torches and keys were not Hecate's only emblems. Serpents coiled around her arms in some representations. Those ancient creatures, whose ability to shed their skin made them potent symbols of transformation and rebirth. Daggers appeared in her hands in certain depictions, instruments of sacrifice and protection, tools that could both create and destroy. Her sacred plants included garlic, whose pungent bulbs were believed to possess protective properties against evil spirits, and various poisonous herbs whose dangerous powers connected her to both healing and harm. She knew the secrets of all plants that grew in darkness, or possessed the power to alter consciousness and perception. One of the most powerful myths connecting Hecate to the other great deities of the Greek pantheon involves Persephone, the maiden goddess who became queen of the underworld. The story begins in a sunlit meadow, where young Persephone gathered flowers with her companions, delighting in the beauty of roses, violets, and crocuses. Among these blooms stood a narcissus of surpassing beauty, placed there by Gaia at Zeus's instruction. When Persephone reached for this flower, the earth suddenly split open. Hades, lord of the underworld, emerged in his chariot drawn by dark horses and seized the screaming maiden, dragging her down into his subterranean kingdom to become his bride. In that moment of violent abduction, most of the world remained oblivious to Persephone's fate. Her companions saw nothing, heard nothing, understood nothing of what had transpired. Zeus, who had conspired in the abduction, chose to remain silent. The sun god Helios witnessed everything, but initially said nothing. But Hecate, dwelling in her cave, heard Persephone's desperate cries, echoing through the hidden places of the earth. The goddess of boundaries and thresholds perceived what others missed, her awareness extending into the liminal spaces where such transformative violence occurs. When Demeter, Persephone's mother and the great goddess of harvest and agriculture, discovered her daughter's disappearance, her grief consumed the world. She wandered the earth for 9 days and nights, carrying torches, searching desperately for any trace of her missing child. She neither ate, nor drank, nor bathed, her anguish transforming her from a goddess of abundance into a figure of desolation. On the 10th day, Hecate approached the grieving mother. The torch-bearing goddess revealed what she had heard, the sound of abduction, the cries of distress. Together, Demeter and Hecate went to Helios, the all-seeing sun, who finally revealed the truth of what had occurred. Hecate's role in this myth extended far beyond simply informing Demeter of her daughter's fate. When Zeus finally negotiated Persephone's partial return from the underworld, when the compromise was reached that would have the maidens spend part of each year with Hades and part with her mother, it was Hecate who served as guide and companion. Ancient texts and artwork show Hecate leading Persephone from the underworld back to the world of the living. Her torches illuminating that perilous passage, she became Persephone's attendant and companion in the underworld, a divine friend who eased the young queen's transition into her new and difficult role. This connection between Hecate and Persephone reinforced the older goddess's association with transformation, with passages between worlds, with the guidance of souls through darkness. The myth of Persephone's abduction formed the foundation of the Eleusinian Mysteries, the most famous and influential secret religious rites of ancient Greece. For nearly 2,000 years, from the Mycenaean period until the rise of Christianity, thousands of initiates gathered at Eleusis to participate in ceremonies that promised a blessed afterlife and revealed profound truths about the nature of existence, death, and rebirth. The specifics of what occurred during these mysteries were kept secret on pain of death, creating one of history's most successfully maintained confidences. But we know that the ritual involved a sacred drama reenacting Persephone's abduction, Demeter's grief and search, and the maiden's eventual return. Hecate played a crucial role in these mysteries as the torchbearer who guided initiates through symbolic darkness, just as she had guided Demeter in her search and Persephone in her return. The mysteries took place during specific festivals throughout the year, with the most important celebrations occurring in September. Initiates purified themselves, participated in processions, fasted, and eventually entered the Telesterion, the great hall at Eleusis, where the central revelation occurred. What they saw and experienced there transformed them, giving them confidence in facing death and a vision of existence that extended beyond mortal life. Hecate's presence in these mysteries as psychopomp and guide ensured her position as one of the most important deities in Greek religious life. The association between Hecate and magic, sorcery, and witchcraft grew stronger over time, particularly from the 5th century before the Common Era onward. The Greeks believed that certain individuals, usually women, possessed knowledge of herbs, poisons, spells, and rituals that could influence events, heal or harm, attract or repel. These practitioners of magic invoked various deities to empower their workings, but Hecate emerged as the preeminent goddess of such practices. She was the teacher of witches, the patron of those who worked in darkness with powers that others feared or failed to understand. The most famous sorceress in Greek mythology, Medea, learned her formidable magical skills from Hecate. When Medea needed to cast her most powerful spells, she called upon Hecate for assistance. The goddess granted knowledge of herbs and their properties, the ability to manipulate the natural world, power over sleep and dreams, and most darkly, mastery of necromancy and the summoning of the dead. Ancient magical texts, including the Greek magical papyri from late antiquity, contain numerous spells and rituals invoking Hecate's power. These texts reveal how practitioners believed the goddess could be persuaded to aid in various endeavors: binding an enemy, securing a lover's affection, gaining hidden knowledge, summoning spirits of the dead for prophecy or revenge, protecting against hostile magic, or causing harm to those who had given offense. The rituals described in these texts often involved elaborate preparations. specific timing coordinated with lunar phases, ingredients gathered from liminal places like crossroads or graveyards, invocations spoken at midnight, and offerings made in darkness. The practitioners of these magical arts understood Hecate as a goddess who responded to those who approached her realm with proper respect and knowledge, but who could be dangerous if invoked carelessly or with impure intentions. This association with magic and the darker aspects of divine power might have diminished Hecate's reputation or limited her appeal. Yet the opposite occurred. The very qualities that made her frightening also made her essential. Ancient Greeks understood that life involved dangers that could not be confronted through ordinary means. Illness, misfortune, malevolent spirits, curses, dangerous journeys through darkness. These threats required supernatural protection. Hecate, precisely because she commanded the forces that others feared, offered the most reliable safeguard against them. She was not evil despite her connection to death, darkness, and magic. Rather, she embodied the necessary recognition that existence includes shadow as well as light, endings as well as beginnings, forces that must be respected rather than ignored. A worship of Hecate centered on practices that reflected her liminal nature and her role as guardian of households and travelers. Unlike the great Olympian deities who received worship in magnificent temples during daylight festivals, Hecate was honored primarily in more intimate and nocturnal ways. Small shrines stood outside homes throughout the Greek world, particularly in Athens, where the goddess was venerated as a household protector alongside Zeus, Hestia, Hermes, and Apollo. These household shrines, often in the form of triple statues called Hecatea, stood where the public street met the private threshold, creating a crossroads that invoked the goddess's protective power. The most distinctive ritual associated with Hecate was the monthly observance known as Hecate's Deipnon, or Hecate's Supper. The word Deipnon simply means supper or evening meal in ancient Greek, but this particular supper carried profound religious significance. It occurred on the last day of each lunar month, during the dark moon, that liminal period when the old month ended and the new month had not yet begun. Ancient Greeks understood this as a dangerous time when the boundaries between the world of the living and the realm of the dead grew thin. Hecate was believed to walk the earth on these moonless nights, leading a procession of restless spirits, ghosts of those who had died unavenged or without proper burial, souls who could not find peace. The Deipnon served multiple purposes simultaneously. It honored Hecate and secured her favor. It placated the restless dead who followed in her wake. It purified the household of any miasma or spiritual pollution that had accumulated during the month, and it allowed the family to enter the new lunar cycle with a clean slate. The ritual began with household purification. The family would sweep their home thoroughly, gathering up not just ordinary dust and debris, but also the remnants of previous religious observances, ashes from sacrifice, stubs of ritual candles, offerings that had been made to household gods, anything that represented the old month that was ending. This physical cleaning symbolized spiritual purification. As darkness fell on the night of the Deipnon, the family would prepare a meal specifically for Hecate and the spirits in her train. The foods chosen carried symbolic significance. Ancient sources mention raw eggs, representing life and potential. Fish, particularly red mullet, which was considered sacred in Hecate's cult. Garlic, whose strong scent and taste were believed to offer protection against malevolent forces. Leeks and onions, humble but essential foods. Cakes, often shaped to honor the goddess. Honey, representing sweetness and abundance. Bread, the staff of life itself. These offerings were placed on a platter or in a special container. A crucial moment came when this meal was taken to a crossroads or placed at the household's threshold. The offerings were set down with appropriate prayers and invocations, asking Hecate to accept this gift, to protect the household, to guide the restless spirits safely, to avert harm. Then came a requirement that must have taken considerable courage. The person making the offering was instructed not to look back as they walked away. The Greeks believed that the spirits who came to consume the offering would be enraged by the sight of living eyes watching them. To look back risked attracting their wrath, inviting madness or possession or death. So the worshipper walked away into the darkness, trusting in the goddess's protection, resisting the natural human urge to glance over their shoulder. An interesting aspect of the Deipnon involved the relationship between this religious practice and charity to the poor. Ancient sources, including the playwright Aristophanes, mentioned that impoverished people would take the food left at Crossroads, eating what had been offered to the goddess. Some texts suggest this was considered sacrilegious, that Hecate would be angered by mortals consuming her offerings. But other sources indicate this was actually an acceptable, even encouraged, practice. The goddess, in this interpretation, was honored when her offerings helped those in need. The food left at Crossroads served the dual purpose of religious devotion and social welfare. Modern practitioners of Hellenic polytheism often incorporate charitable giving into their Deipnon observances, donating food to food banks or serving meals at shelters in Hecate's name. Following the Deipnon came the Noumenia, the celebration of the new moon's first visible crescent. This was a day of joy and feasting, of offerings to the household gods, of optimism for the month ahead. The Deipnon cleared away the old, while the Noumenia welcomed the new. Together, these observances created a rhythm of purification and renewal that structured the religious life of Athenian households. Hecate's worship was not limited to these monthly household observances. She received offerings at her shrines on various occasions throughout the year. Travelers about to embark on dangerous journeys would stop at Crossroads to invoke her protection. Women in childbirth called upon her, recognizing that birth itself is a threshold, a passage from one state of being into another. Those seeking hidden knowledge or guidance in difficult decisions would petition the goddess. And practitioners of magic, of course, invoked her regularly in their workings. Evidence of her cult has been found throughout the Greek world and beyond, from Athens to Sicily, from mainland Greece to Asia Minor, demonstrating the widespread appeal and importance of this enigmatic deity. Her major sanctuary at Laguna in Caria remained an important pilgrimage site well into the Roman period. The temple there housed a famous statue of the goddess, and annual festivals drew crowds of worshippers who celebrated Hecate with processions, sacrifices, and mysteries. Archaeological evidence from the site reveals the persistence of her cult over many centuries, adapting to changing political and cultural circumstances, but maintaining its essential character. The ruins of the temple, with its distinctive architecture and sculptural programs, still stand as testimony to the goddess's enduring significance in the ancient world. The transition from ancient paganism to Christianity in the Mediterranean world brought an end to organized worship of the Olympian gods and goddesses, including Hecate. The Eleusinian Mysteries were officially suppressed by the Roman Emperor Theodosius in 392 of the Common Era. The great sanctuary at Eleusis was destroyed shortly thereafter. Temples to Hecate fell into disuse and ruin. The old gods were declared demons by Christian authorities, their worship forbidden, their images destroyed. For over 1,000 years, Hecate existed primarily as a literary and artistic memory, appearing in classical texts that were preserved and studied, but no longer actively worshipped. Yet the goddess refused to fade entirely. Her image and mythology captured the imagination of poets, artists, and esoteric philosophers throughout the centuries. Medieval and Renaissance scholars studying ancient texts encountered Hecate in her triple form, guardian of mysteries, mistress of magic. She appeared in Shakespeare's Macbeth, ruling over the three witches who prophesy the tragic hero's fate. The Romantic poets invoked her name when exploring themes of darkness, mystery, and the supernatural. Artists depicted her in paintings and sculptures, keeping alive the memory of her torches blazing in the night. The 20th century witnessed an extraordinary revival of interest in Hecate and a renewal of her worship. The emergence of neo-paganism, particularly Wicca and other forms of modern witchcraft, brought the goddess back from the realm of literary reference into active religious practice. Modern practitioners found in Hecate a divine feminine figure who embodied strength, independence, wisdom, and power in ways that resonated with contemporary spiritual seekers. She represented a goddess who was not defined by her relationships to male gods, who existed outside patriarchal structures, who claimed authority over her own domains without needing permission or validation from others.
In modern Wiccan practice, Hecate is often identified with the crone aspect of the triple goddess, that threefold deity representing maiden, mother, and crone, where the maiden embodies youth and potential, and the mother represents fertility and nurturing. The crone symbolizes wisdom, endings, and transformation. Hecate fits this archetype perfectly with her associations with old knowledge, death, and profound change. Many contemporary witches and pagans honor Hecate in rituals focused on shadow work, the psychological and spiritual process of confronting one's hidden aspects and integrating denied parts of the self. Her torches are understood to illuminate not just physical darkness, but the darkness within, helping practitioners face their fears and transform their limitations into strengths. The ancient practice of the Deipnon has been revived by modern devotees, adapted to contemporary circumstances, but maintaining its essential character. On the dark moon each month, practitioners clean their sacred spaces, gather offerings of traditional foods, and leave them at crossroads or other liminal places. Some create indoor shrines to Hecate, complete with images of the goddess, candles representing her torches, keys, and other symbolic objects. These modern practitioners report profound experiences of connection with the goddess, describing her as a powerful presence who guides, protects, and challenges them to grow beyond their self-imposed limitations. Hecate's symbolism continues to resonate in contemporary culture beyond specifically pagan or Wiccan contexts. The image of a strong, independent female figure who masters hidden knowledge and refuses to be contained by conventional boundaries appeals to many who might not identify as religious practitioners at all. Feminist scholars have examined Hecate as an example of female divine power that exists outside male control. Psychologists have explored her symbolism in terms of archetypal patterns in the human psyche. Artists continue to create new representations of the goddess, from traditional sculpture and painting to digital art and tattoo designs. Her triple form, her torches, her keys, and her hounds appear in contemporary jewelry, artwork, and symbolic representations across multiple cultures. The goddess's enduring appeal lies partly in her complexity and the way she resists simple categorization. She is not purely benevolent like some deities, offering only comfort and reassurance, nor is she simply malevolent, embodying only threat and danger. Instead, she encompasses both possibilities, representing the truth that existence itself contains both light and shadow, that wisdom requires confronting what we fear, that transformation often involves destruction, that guidance through darkness is possible, but never without risk. She embodies the understanding that boundaries and thresholds, while potentially dangerous, are also places of immense power and possibility. At the crossroads, one must make choices, but one also has the opportunity to change direction, to choose a new path, to transform one's destiny. From her probable origins in ancient Anatolia to her prominent position in classical Greek religion. From her role in the Eleusinian Mysteries to her association with witchcraft and magic. From her near disappearance in the Christian era to her remarkable revival in modern paganism, Hecate has demonstrated an extraordinary ability to adapt, persist, and remain relevant across vastly different cultural contexts. She is a goddess who has survived the deaths of civilizations, the transformation of religious systems, and the passage of more than 2,000 years. Today, whether invoked in ritual by devoted practitioners, studied by scholars of mythology and religion, depicted by artists, or simply contemplated by those drawn to her powerful symbolism, Hecate continues to stand at the crossroads between worlds, bearing her twin torches, guarding the mysteries, and guiding those brave enough to walk through darkness toward transformation. If you found this exploration of Hecate fascinating, please hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into mythology and ancient history. Share your thoughts about this mysterious goddess in the comments below. Until next time, may your own crossroads be illuminated.